Today's podcast is sponsored by Healthy Cell. Reach your full potential. Get 20% off your first order with code Carter, that's CARTER, at healthycell.com/Carter. So I just got back from the border, and I know you all who have been following me on social media have seen some of the videos that I posted, or for those of you that were watching Fox News, you saw some of the biggest concerns actually on the Rio Grande, McAllen sector where I was at. Certainly it's been disastrous for our nation. It's been disastrous for our own sovereignty. I'm going to talk about the humanitarian crisis as well as the national security implications in a moment. I also am going to be talking about the recent polling by Rasmussen, the America First Policy Institute, which is absolutely amazing. We've got Mark Lauder over there running things and doing a great job. But the America First Policy Institute, along with Rasmussen, have released recent polling about the border, the removal of Title 42 by the Biden administration, that rescinding of Title 42 that is supposed to take place on May 23rd, as well as the mask mandates, which are absolutely asinine on planes with the cleanest air and the cleanest planes ever, that we still have to wear these damn masks. And this is just theater and it's show. And I'm going to explain to you why. I'm going to go over some of what the CDC said itself about these masks and the fact that the majority of us aren't even wearing N95, so they don't even really work. And last but not least, guys, we've got to be paying attention to what is happening in China, because it is a reflection of what could possibly happen across the globe again. I know it's terrifying. We don't want to think about that, but what is happening in China and how the communist government is destroying its own people, this amoral government with lockdowns and horrific conditions that I don't think we even saw the first time around. We're going to be talking about that and so much more here at the Sara Carter Show. Please follow and subscribe. Remember, go to my website, Sara, SARA, Carter.com. That's SaraACarter.com. And while you are there, I'd like you to sign up for our email list. This way you don't get shadow banned. This way you and I can stay in communication with one another. We can continue to inform you of the most important stories, and we will not have, behemoth tech giants trying to censor us. So go to SaraACarter.com. You'll find all my social media links there. You can follow me there and get everything you need. And while you are there, sign up for our email list. Guys, we've got a new sponsor, a great sponsor, someone that wants to take the stink out of your house without dilly-dallying with all kinds of products or anything like that. It's called Eden Pure. Eden Pure Thunderstorm Air Purifier. And I promise you, it will bring clean smells back to your home. Just this morning, I was walking past my dining room where I have one of my Eden Pures, and the house literally smells like a brand new home. It smells so clean. It's fantastic. I love it. I don't have to deal with all different kinds of air fresheners and everything. It really takes any kind of smell out of your house. And I have 3 dogs. I have 2 little ones and my husband's guide dog, Danny, and they're lovely and wonderful and amazing creatures that I love so much, but they can be stinky and sometimes they can be a little bit of a pain. Well, with the Eden Pure Thunderstorm Air Purifier, I don't smell a thing. You'll save $200 right now on 3 units of the Eden Pure OxyLeaf 2 Thunderstorm by using the promo code Sara, that's SARA3, SARA3. The Eden Pure Thunderstorm Air Purifier's proven oxy technology quickly destroys viruses. That's great to know. Odors, mold, and so much more. Right now, you can save $200 on an Eden Pure Thunderstorm 3-pack with the code SARA3. Get full coverage for your kitchen, office, bedroom, or anywhere you want to get rid of odors in your home. Go to EdenPureDeals.com and put in the discount code SARA3 to save $200. That's awesome. Thank you, Eden Pure. So getting back to the border and what I saw this week, again, I've spent almost the entire month either at Big Bend National Park this month or in McAllen, Texas, and I live in Texas now. So even if I'm down in San Antonio, I'm seeing what's going on at the border. because it's about all of us. It's not just about the border communities. Let me give you an example. I wake up this morning today. I'd met this gentleman, Robert, at the airport, and he and his family, and this was months ago, and he came up to me and he said, "Thank you so much for all you do. My wife and I, we watch you on Sean Hannity. We watch you on Fox. We listen to your podcast." And so anyways, we became friends. I figured out they live kind of close to me. And this morning, I get a slew of text messages from Robert. He's at the airport in San Antonio, and there are people all over the airport this morning. And I saw that the other morning too, over a month ago, or maybe it was more like 3 weeks ago when I was heading to Florida. Just people laying all over the airport in foil blankets, with packets in their hands, saying, "I don't speak English." And by the way, these are not all Spanish-speaking people. I speak Spanish. A lot of the people that are there are people from Somalia. There are people from other parts of the world, China, other parts of the world, other parts of Central America, South America, not just from Mexico. And these are people that have been brought to the airport by our government in buses voluntarily. Yes, Jen Psaki, voluntarily. And they are dropped off at our airports here in San Antonio, Houston, Dallas, wherever. Once they leave the border, once you bust them out of the border area. It's interesting how Jen Psaki says, she was so angry with Governor Greg Abbott and the Biden administration. Well, they were pretending to be angry about him busing people to Washington, D.C., which, by the way, thank you so much, Governor Greg Abbott, for following through with that and sending him there. It was voluntary. Nobody is forcing these people on the buses. And so she says, we're not forcing people to do anything. Yes, you are. You don't let everybody go just at the border to walk around all the border communities lost, although sometimes that happens, lost and not knowing where they're going. We actually pay them. We actually give them credit cards with taxpayer dollars and nonprofits, by the way, that are raising money to help support people that are coming into this country illegally. And by the way, those nonprofits, even Catholic charities, not all that money is just coming from donations. They're actual government grants that are given to these nonprofits by the millions of dollars. Our taxpayer dollars going to nonprofits, government grants to help move these people. And then what they do is they put them on buses, send them to the bus station with ICE, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, dropping them off at the Phoenix bus stop, dropping them off here in town at various bus stops, taking them to the airports with their paperwork. And by the way, they're flying without any real identification on them. This is identification that they basically put together at some tent or some facility here along the border. And, now they're going to send them out. They don't want you, the people, to see what actually is happening at the border. So back to Robert, he's at the airport and he's taken all these videos and sending them to me this morning. And he's like, look at this, look at that. Look what's going on. There are all these folks everywhere. They're walking around. They're not even wearing masks. What's going on here? Well, I'll tell you what's going on here. What's going on here is that the government is allowing this to happen. That the Biden administration has basically opened the borders wide open, and said, come on in. And we're going to drop Title 42. We're going to do whatever we want. We are going to do whatever we need to do because they have a plan. You guys, this is not all accidental. I've said this before. This isn't about bad policy. This is their policy. We need to wake up. We need to wake up and accept that. We need to know now that this is what they are doing. The Biden administration and those who work for him are opening our borders to everyone. I saw it there. I was with Lieutenant Olivares. We were right when I was getting ready to come on Sean's show, because we were showing a clip from when I was at Big Bend. We're getting ready to talk about that, the trackers and what's going on at Big Bend and how we have like all of these people, these gotaways coming through the border. These are people that do not want to be apprehended. I made the newest numbers, the newest and most latest numbers on those gotaways are from October 2021. This is what they believe, and this is probably minimal. So I want you to understand this. This is a minimal number, right, are 700,000 people who have not been apprehended, but who they believe have gotten away. 320 plus thousand of those people they know have gotten away. That means they've actually seen them on video. They've counted their tracks out in the desert. They've seen fresh, evidence that they had been crossing in large groups. Those are the known gotaways. But of all the gotaways, now they're saying around 700,000 since October. People we don't even know. I was just, Michael Yon and I stay in touch. For those of you who don't know Michael Yon, he's a war correspondent. He's brilliant. He spends a lot of time overseas. He's a good friend of mine. He is now back at the Darien Gap. This is one of the most dangerous places in the world. The most dangerous crossing made by migrants, illegal migrants heading towards the United States, is done in the Darien Gap jungle near Panama. And what he does is he's been there, actually. And he sent me some video of people there in the Darien Gap. And it's not just people from Central America. There's people from Somalia. I've talked about that before. I've had Michael Yon on the show here before. And he just sent me a video of a man. It's probably not going to be made public, but he's Ukrainian. And he's sitting in the Darien Gap. He's like, I'm from Ukraine. And you could see, and he's talking to him, and he goes, oh, you got me on video. No video. And then there was another photograph that Michael Yon took while he's down there. And there are people from China moving through one of the most dangerous places on planet Earth, coming towards the United States. We are in a very dangerous situation. Before I move on to all the latest Rasmussen polls, I want to give a shout out to Jimmy Morris. He was with me up at Big Bend, and he was the one that was basically tracking those people that were attempting to get away. And I want you to understand this. Jimmy Morris, he tracks humans. He tracks animals too, but he tracks humans. And he is the only tracker from the Texas Department of Public Safety. He assists our Border Patrol in an area that is roughly 500 miles of border with Mexico. Some of the roughest terrain I have ever been to, actually, especially in the heat and dealing with all of those elements. Jimmy is phenomenal. I want you to take a listen to this.
All right through here.
So just everything. Drug traffickers.
Everything.
Human trafficking. What is your worst fear?
The folks, people coming in that we don't know, we have no idea who they are. We get prisoners, folks that just got out of prison, sex offenders, murderers, and we have no idea how many bad folks are coming in.
How bad do you think this is going to get? Title 42 is expected to be gone. Even if it doesn't go away, it's keeping very few people in Mexico. Do you expect this to get worse?
I do, for sure. It's going to get worse. It's getting worse every day. It's getting worse.
I want you to think about the hypocrisy of our government. And by the way, I hope Jimmy's listening to this. Jimmy Morris, you're my hero. Thank you so much. And to everyone at DPS Air Operations there in Big Bend, thank you so much for having me. And I look forward to going back and covering your story again and giving you all a voice, because what you do is a hero's job. It's a hero's job against everything. These guys are up against the federal government as well as the drug cartel. So they're doing everything to protect us while our federal government has failed to do so. But I want you to think about the hypocrisy of our government, right? We are all being forced to still wear masks on airplanes. It's crazy. This should have ended. We're all being forced to wear masks on airplanes. And yet we're going to put an end to Title 42, and we're going to allow people on the plane who have no real identification on them, who we are going to be moving across the country, and we're doing it every single day under our noses. The government is moving people all over the place, all over this nation, from all over the world, after everything our country has been through. After September 11th and 20 years of war, after everything we have faced as a nation, all the money invested in Department of Homeland Security, the rearranging of our bureaucracies, after every single thing, guys, that you and I have been through, our children being sent off to war, dying, fighting, our intelligence agencies operating in areas of the world we never thought we'd have to operate again just to protect us. We are now faced with just wide open borders and the possibility of a much worse attack. Well, let me tell you this, Biden administration, all you have to do is look at the latest Rasmussen polls with America First Policy Institute to understand that Americans don't want this. Americans do not want to go in the direction that you are taking us. According to recent polling of registered voters conducted between April 7th and April 9th by Rasmussen, 81% of voters say they believe immigration is very important or somewhat important in influencing their votes in the next election. Folks, I'm telling you, November is the big day. We got to get out there and vote. 81% of Americans care about this. We want to protect our nation. And if we want to protect it, we're going to go out there and vote and put lawmakers in place that are going to do the job. 65% of voters say it is appropriate to use a public health measure like Title 42 to block illegal immigration. Of course it's appropriate. Look what's going on in China. And I'm going to get to that in a minute because it is terrifying, guys. It is terrifying what is going on in China. I can't even imagine what would happen if that ever resulted in any kind of similar lockdowns here in the United States. We'll talk about that in a minute. Only 29% of voters, listen to this, only 29%, I don't even know who these 29% are, favor ending Title 42. Only 29%. 70% of voters say that the Biden administration should increase the number of border agents, not decrease them. And 71% of voters say they favor sending the U.S. military to assist in defending the border. And 70% say states should have the right, to do it if the federal government fails to do so, which is exactly what Governor Greg Abbott is doing here in the state of Texas. He is doing everything possible to stop this. Strong arming, doing whatever they can, right? Because the federal government is ignoring this. Chad Wolf, he's the former acting secretary of the Department of Homeland Security, and he's the chair of the Center for Homeland Security and Immigration at the American First Policy Institute, said this: the American people are clearly fed up with the Biden administration's approach to securing our border. It's time this administration demonstrates the will and leadership needed to end this crisis. Their inconsistent and incoherent approach to COVID-19, along with the border, is transparent to all Americans. Sure it is. Sure it is, because all you have to do is look at the stats coming from Rasmussen right now, the most recent. And these were the ones they took from March 17th actually to March 19th. 53% of voters nationwide think it's time to end the mask mandates on airlines. I bet you it's even higher right now. 40% are opposed. 72% of those who fly regularly, these are the people who fly all the time, like me, they want the mandate lifted now. I want that mandate lifted now. We already know, the CDC's already made it perfectly clear that the mask-wearing fiasco, the mask-wearing theater, is doing nobody any good, is doing no one any good. Before I get to Shanghai, China, and the horrors of what is happening there, I want you guys to know about an awesome new product that I absolutely love. And when I need to take a break, right, from all the craziness of the world, and I want to put the news aside and spend time with my family, like my daughter, especially because she loves planting with me, and I love to go to my garden, I go and get my plants from fastgrowingtrees.com. It is awesome. You can order them online. And it's not just about ordering them online. You can actually have experts online telling you, okay, this is exactly the kind of plant that you're going to need for the area that you live in. They will help you pick out plants that will thrive in your specific climate, location, and give you what you need. There's no waiting in line. There's no messy cars. Think about that, from hauling plants all over town, because all you need to do is order online or over the phone, and then your plants are shipped right to your door within 1 to 2 days. Isn't that crazy? And whenever you're looking for increased privacy, shade, or anything else, you just go to them, ask them. Say, hey, what's going to work here? What's going to work at my fence line here? And Fast Growing Trees have the perfect plants, and they have the experts that can help you find them. I'm telling you, you're going to love this. This is just such an awesome product, such a great idea. Plus, with their 30-day Alive and Thrive guarantee, you can trust everything will be healthy for years to come. Go to fastgrowingtrees.com/Carter right now, and you'll get 15% off your entire order. Get 15% off at fastgrowingtrees.com/Carter, fastgrowingtrees.com/Carter. I want to take you to Shanghai, China, and I want to take you to a place where it almost feels as though when I see the videos, and I don't know how many of you have seen them or are on Twitter. I was actually following several different people on Twitter that were able to get videos that had been snuck out of Shanghai, China. And Gordon Chang is one of those people. He is phenomenal. He's an expert on China, and he's a good friend. You need to look at his Twitter account. You need to follow him because he's getting some amazing video out of there. But it was actually horrific. I never in my life imagined that, that watching like shows like, The Walking Dead or seeing things about like these apocalyptic movies, that would actually ever be real, right? That would actually be something that is real. But those videos that I've seen out of Shanghai, China are truly horrifying. There are people walking in the streets militarized. Of course, that's the least of the fears, but the whole streets are militarized. People have been locked down into their respective apartments and apartment complexes, not allowed out, not even to get food. There's very little food being distributed in Shanghai. It's mostly cabbage and carrots, if they get any food at all. There have been people that have literally thrown themselves from sky rises because of the lockdowns. There have been young men and women seen taken into custody, screaming in the middle of the streets, losing their minds because they can't even visit their relatives because apparently this is a COVID outbreak, right? And they're killing all the pets, guys. They are literally killing people's dogs and cats of people who have COVID. And they're not just killing them. I mean, they're beating them with bats in the middle of the street. They're throwing cats and shoving them into plastic bags while they're still alive. And you can see them squirming underneath the plastic like a horror film. And the screams of desperation of the people starving and unable to leave their homes. I want to play this for you. I warn you, this is really terrifying. If a sound can scare you, this is it.
5分钟前头，俺们叫我没几个了，现在突然之间，所有人都叫了，要死。
That's horrifying. Can you imagine what life is like for these people in China? Can you imagine? You think it can't happen here. We never imagined that we would be shut down for nearly 2 years. We never imagined that would happen. Look what's happening in Philadelphia right now. Look what's happening in Pennsylvania. Indoor mask mandates back. Look at what happened in our country with the last 2 years, people losing their jobs, people losing everything. What is going on in China? Why is this not a priority number one? What is going on? Because if this is just, I've had COVID 3 times. The insanity of this. Is there something else going on that we don't know about? Is there something beyond COVID, something far worse than what we can ever imagine? Has it morphed into something else? Is this the Chinese government's way of quelling its own uprising in China? Right? Is there something going on that we don't know about in China? I imagined that at the very beginning of COVID. What better way to shut down your people than a virus, right? Than a terrifying virus that kills. You want to quell an uprising? terrifying viruses that kill. And it really was a terrifying virus, right? We lost people. I'm not saying that it didn't exist. I'm saying that we don't have enough information about everything that is going on inside one of the most secretive governments of the world, which is China. This is terrifying. I'm going to look at this story from Reuters right now. China's financial hub Shanghai reported over 27,000 coronavirus cases on Thursday. They say it's a new high. It's a day after President Xi said that the country must continue its strict dynamic COVID clearance policy and pandemic control measures. China is battling its worst COVID-19 outbreak since the virus first emerged in 2019. There's literally 25 million residents remaining largely under lockdown in Shanghai. They say wider curbs to stop the spread of the highly infectious Omicron variant, which is weird. Even though it's highly infectious, it has a way less death, rate than what we saw with the original COVID-19. So what's going on here? They're disrupting their economic growth. It's taking a toll on the nation. People are committing suicide. People are screaming like some kind of horror film late into the night outside of their lockdown modules, right? Their apartment complexes. What is going on in China? We can't just ignore this, guys. We have to force our lawmakers, to force our intelligence agencies to do everything they can to see what is going on there. Either they're just trying to stop people from rising up against the CCP, which is the worst government next to the Iranian government in the world, I guess maybe next to North Korea, and by the way, even Vladimir Putin. The Chinese government's actually trying to stop an uprising, the genocide, the Uyghurs. They have done horrific acts against their own people. And yet we're going to pay the price for this, folks. I'm telling you right now, there is always a mission creep. There is always rumors. And those rumors all of a sudden come and affect us in a big way. In a big way. So we better wake up. We better look at what's going on. We better see what's happening so we can be ahead of the game. We don't want to be on the defensive on this one. We want to be on the offensive. And by the way, Disney and everybody else who does business in China yet tells us how to live our lives, you guys stink. I'm glad people are canceling and not buying. And if you didn't listen to my last episode, my last podcast with Congressman Michael Waltz, you need to, because it's all about China and it's all about us. You do not want to miss that at all. Guys, I can tell you over and over again, that it's up to us, each one of us. I can say it to myself. We are it, right? We are the reason that our government, to some extent, is still functioning democracy and a republic. It is the reason why we have great leaders in states like Florida and, throughout Tennessee and in Texas and Arizona with Congressman Andy Biggs and others who are really fighting the good fight. We've got Ken Paxton, Mark Brnovich. I have them on the show quite often. AGs that are really fighting the good fight and doing what's right for our country. But remember, it's got to be up to each and every one of us. That is you, that is me, holding our lawmakers accountable, holding ourselves accountable so that we could save this great nation. And boy, if that sound from Shanghai did not terrify you, I don't know what will. Look, before I talk a little bit about the Abraham Accords and close this up, I want to talk to you about Healthy Cell. Healthy Cell is amazing. I know I spoke about it at the top of the show, but I'm going to tell you why I believe in this product and why I take it. Because not only is our attention span getting shorter and shorter, it's our lifestyles. I mean, we need to be healthier. I'm out on the road every single day, it feels like. And, it takes a toll on your body. So not only are you not getting all the nutrients you need, if all you're doing is eating on the road, you're really not getting the nutrients you need. But you're also wearing yourself down. And Healthy Cell actually reinvigorates my life, reinvigorates my body, reinvigorates my mind, because after an entire day out on the road, even if I'm collecting information as a journalist, I've still got to work late at night. My day doesn't end right there. I don't have normal 8-hour days. I, like many of you, work like sometimes it feels like 24 hours. And then I got to go on Sean's show late at night after working a full day. But if I've taken Healthy Cell microgels, I feel amazing. I feel amazing. And I'm not just saying that to say it. Healthy Cell literally is the next generation of dietary supplements. If you take supplements in a pill form now, then it's time to change all that. Get rid of them. Why? Because the studies actually show that you don't even absorb most of the nutrients in pill form. And they can be really hard to swallow. And when you have a bunch of them, it's almost impossible. Vitamins that you take in pill form, they can't absorb the same way, and it's a waste of money. That's why doctors and nutritionists created Healthy Cell. I tried it. I ditched the pills. Journey to better health with Healthy Cell. Go to healthycell.com/Carter. That's healthycell.com/Carter, and use the promo code Carter for, guess what? 20% off your first order. Again, that's healthycell.com/Carter, promo code Carter for 20% off your first order. Guys, I'm sure you've spent time at SaraCarter.com and you've read some of our stories. I have this phenomenal story by Steve Postal. He's a good friend. He writes for me. He often writes for my foundation, The Dark Wire. You go there, thedarkwire.com. You can find a lot of his great stories. And he's written now for me for SaraCarter.com. And it's the Abraham Accords continue to grow despite Biden's policies. It's almost as if they're ignoring Biden. And that was pretty obvious with Saudi Arabia putting out that kind of super hilarious like SNL skit on Kamala Harris and Biden, Biden being lost and Kamala like helping guide him around the stage. It was pretty funny. Everyone's seen it. If you haven't, go to SaraCarter.com and you'll find it there. This was on Saudi television. But right now, according to Steve Postal's story and his work, phenomenal work, the Abraham Accords are growing. It's as if, you know what? They're saying this isn't going to be forever. We're not going to have President Biden forever in office. So let's keep these relationships growing. Why? Because we want to put Iran in check. We want to put Iran in check. That is something that President Biden, he's actually working against us and our allies. He's working with Iran. You know, when he signed the Israeli Relations Normalization Act of 2022 last month, the administration's counterproductive actions in the Middle East, by pursuing the Iran nuclear deal, as Stephen Postal said, not relisting the Houthis as a foreign terrorist organization. They are backed, by the way, by the Iranian regime, pursuing a Palestinian consulate in Jerusalem, meddling in Israeli-Palestinian property disputes in Sheikh Jarrah and Silwan, pursuing a two-state solution, and coupling the Abraham Accords with a political solution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. All of this threatens to upend the Abraham Accords that were put into place by the Trump administration. Probably one of the greatest things that the Trump administration did. And we can thank Jared Kushner for that as well. That was brilliant. That was, say what you want to say. Everybody knows that was around that White House. Who helped make that happen? That was President Trump and that was Jared Kushner. Nonetheless, despite all the administration's efforts to try to destroy everything that happened under President Trump, they just can't do it. They just can't do it. Because why? Because Saudi Arabia and all of the other players, Jordan and everybody else, and the Israelis are not going to let it happen. I'll tell you really quick. In diplomacy, in late March, U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken and all of his foreign ministers of Israel, Egypt, the United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, Morocco convened in southern Israel for the Negev Summit. Think about that. A week before that, Egyptian President Abdul Fattah al-Sisi hosted a trilateral summit with Israeli Prime Minister Bennett and Abu Dhabi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Zayed, where they discussed Iran and cooperation on defense and energy. There you go. They are still working with Israel. Israel also had its first diplomatic visit to Indonesia in 30 years. Think about that. This accord, the Abraham Accord is so brilliant and so amazing that it has outlived this nincompoop right now in the White House, I'm sorry, President Biden and his horrific policy advisors, yes, you, Susan Rice, and everybody else who's in there, it has outlived it. And it is continuing to flourish and to grow. That is when you plant a great seed. And that shows how brilliant the Trump administration was when it reached out to its partners in the Middle East and said, hey, look, let's all find a way to work together because we want to put Iran in check. We want to put Syria in check. And we don't want to see a Shiite crescent grow over the Middle East. And we know you don't want that either. So if we don't learn to work together, it is all going to fall apart. Let's hope that we can continue to see this accord grow in strength and prosperity, and that we can hold out for the next 3 years. Because the last thing we want, folks, is a powerful Iran in that region, an Iran that will take over, all of our allies and threaten our number one ally in the Middle East, Israel. Thank you so much for being a part of the Sara Carter Show. I look forward to coming back and sharing with you all the stories of my trips across this great country of ours, and especially to the border. I hope that before November, we can get everyone educated, get everyone out there. Let's do it together. I will do my part. I know you'll do yours. Let's put the right lawmakers in office, and let's make sure that together we fight the good fight and we defend one another and defend our nation. God bless you, and God bless this great nation.
Hi, it's Dana Lash, host of The Dana Show. Every day, I'm here to keep you up to speed on the most important stories and info that you need to know in your very busy life. And if you're always on the go and you want to stay connected, just download our daily podcast and take it with you. It's a great way to get up to speed on what you need to know and what legacy media may not be telling you. Visit danaradio.com and click on the podcast link or subscribe at iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your favorite podcasts.